Greetings, pet lovers. Brigid here with First Street Pets, and today we're going to talk about creating a website for your pet business. So who needs a website? Well, basically everyone since about 1995. It does surprise me that even today in the 2020s, I see that some businesses don't have a website or have one that is quite outdated, and that is definitely not going to contribute to the success of your business. So how much website do you need? Well, it depends on the nature of your business. I will link my other article and video on good pet businesses to start in 2021, and that will give you some ideas. If you have a local service business, such as dog transportation, poop pickup, pet sitting, or something like that, you will probably need a very small and basic page. Whereas if you have a more complex website, if you were selling a variety of products, you will need a shopping cart component to your website, and that's going to add some more complexity to it. So it all just depends on the nature of your business. Now, back in the day, each web page was a page with sort of a beginning and an end. But in today's world, what you will see more of is this sort of endless scrolling. This is what people are used to when they look at Amazon or Etsy or Facebook or any of these other kinds of sites, is that kind of endless scrolling. So you'll want to capitalize on that trend by making your website look and act in a similar way. So you've decided you want a website. How do you go about that? How do you make a website? Well, the first thing you can do is hire someone. There are many individuals and companies out there providing web design. They will do all the work for you. You basically tell them what you need and what your budget is, and they will create the website for you. If they are a good company, you'll have a very good and professional looking website that has all the functionality you want and meets your needs for minimal work for you. The cost for these services can be quite high. The lowest I've seen for creating a basic website is about $3,000, and it can go up quite a bit from there to $10,000, $15,000 or more for a very complex website. So while these services may make it easy for you and you may get a really nice looking website, they do have a pretty high price tag to go along with it. Because of this high cost and the increased risk in dealing with people you don't know, most of the time you won't be going to a local office to meet with someone who's going to make your website. This is going to be done virtually. You're going to find someone online. You need to be really careful about who you hire. I would recommend doing a search and looking at a lot of websites in your area of expertise. When you see ones that you really like, that look like what you're looking for, scroll down to the bottom and contact whoever designed that website and maybe find out that way. That way you know what their work looks like and that that's something that's going to work for you. That's one way to do it. You can also get referrals from friends or associates. When you see their website, if they can tell you they have a company or individual who created it for them and was good to work with, responded to their needs, and the price fits in your budget, that's another way to find someone to create your website. I would caution you against using really cheap online services. I'm not going to name any businesses here, but there are some out there, you probably know what I'm talking about, that will create websites very cheap for $50, $100. I do not recommend using these kinds of services because in my experience, I have used these services for other things like creating graphics and logos. And what I have found is that they just take clip art off the internet, and sometimes they even steal images from other websites. I've had that problem as well, where I was working to create a logo and the person I hired just took some art from another website that was not authorized to be used. So we could have gotten in trouble for using that information. So be very careful who you hire. Make sure it's a reputable business and beware of really cheap services. Another way is you can do it yourself, and that's primarily what I want to talk about today. There are many, many different websites where you can create your own. There is Bluehost is a very popular one. It's easy to use and inexpensive. GoDaddy is another. Wix. There are quite a few out there. Just do a search for website creating app or website creating software, and you will get a bunch. You can go ahead and look through and pick one that works for you. Most of these designers will have what's called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Website design, that's the easiest for someone who's not a techie, who's not trained in code or any of these other complexities of creating websites. I created a lot of the websites that I manage with those kinds of programs. My First Street Pets blog is using WordPress, which is a much better program and it has a lot more functionality, but there's also a huge learning curve. And I'm sure I'm just kind of scratching the surface with that one myself. So I will link some other articles and videos about WordPress by other content creators in the description if that's something you want to learn about. But today we're going to talk about the easy stuff, the WYSIWYG like Bluehost and GoDaddy. Cost for a DIY website is pretty inexpensive. For the websites I manage, it's less than $300 a year, and that's including the URL, the domain name registration, the website hosting, and the designer functionality, as well as the email, because you'll want a professional looking email that's info at or your name at the domain name. So as I said, in my websites, it's less than $300 a year for each one. So you shouldn't have to pay too much for a DIY website. How to design your website? Well, just start with a list. Back in the day, I used to just write it on a piece of paper. Now I use a notepad app. You can see here that this is the notepad for this video that I'm giving you right now. So all of my content starts this way. I just kind of make a list of what I want to talk about and my important points. So you can do the same thing for your website. What's the information you want to get out there? You want to have your services, your prices, your products, if you're selling products, something about the company or about you. Think about what your customer wants to know about you and what information needs to be out there. Just go ahead and make a list, and this will help you get started with the content that you're going to want on your website. Next, you will want to gather some images. Now, you want good quality, high resolution images. Your own are best because even if they're not perfect, they're going to look more natural. Here's some examples of pictures that I've taken. They don't look super professional, but they look good and they look natural. I can say that these are pets that I have taken care of, as opposed to stock photos can look really polished, but can also kind of look like stock photos. So I use a combination of both. There's nothing wrong with stock photos, but you will notice that some are really super overused. And the same goes for clip art. Clip art can be fun, but I have literally seen dozens of business cards for pet sitters with the same clip art. And I've seen a bunch of websites with the same stock photos. So when you do your search and look at other websites in your area of business, make sure you're not just using the same pictures and artwork as all the others. You want to stand out and be unique. So here I'm going to show you, I'm just creating a mock-up website. We're going into the designer. And the cool thing about a lot of these WYSIWYG designers is you can give them the nature of your business and they'll kind of mock something up for you with a couple of pictures and categories just based on the information you've given them. So here's one for a dog boarding business. So once you've logged into the system and gone into the website designer, the first thing it will prompt you to do is to pick a template. Now, these sites usually have many different kinds of templates, so don't get too worried about this at first. Just pick one that looks decent and get working on your website. You can change it at any time if you decide that you don't like the way it looks. Now, a fun website like selling dog sweaters and Christmas ornaments or local dog walking may go with a fun looking template with paw prints and things like that. Whereas a site for, say, pet legal aid would want a more conservative looking template. So just browse through the templates and kind of search with keywords and see what suits best your type of business. Again, if you don't like it, you can always change it again later. So here you'll see when we go into the creator, there'll be a number of different options. I'm not going to go into every detail because depending on which one you use, it's all going to be a little bit different. But with the WYSIWYG, you're basically clicking on the picture, clicking on the text and the titles, and just changing the information to show what you want. Again, you can use your own pictures. Most of these designers come with a number of stock photos included, so you can use that to start, or if you want a nice big high resolution file for that cover photo, you can use the ones that come with it. Here you'll want to put all the information that you want your clients to see and your contact information if you want them to call or email you. Some of these also have a pop-up chat bot that you can add. So it's up to you how you want your customers or clients to get in touch with you. Here you can preview your site, and the reason that I like to pick these sections with sort of blocky pictures and not a lot of text is that you'll want it to be mobile optimized. And I still plan on creating another video with a deep dive into SEO because I don't want this video to be too long. This is a general overview. So stay tuned for that. But something like 75 to 80% of people searching for products and services do so on their phone or maybe a tablet. Very few people search on an actual desktop computer. So you will want your website to be mobile optimized. And as you can see here with these designers, it kind of does that automatically. So it's really clean and it looks really good on a phone. The user can see the information they need. There's cute pictures to keep their information, and they can easily push a button to contact you. Now, before you make your website go live, you will want to pick a domain name. Now, there's sort of an art and a science to this. I like domain names that are easy to say and to say to someone verbally or hear over the phone. For example, First Street Pets. Anybody can hear what I'm saying and easily know how to look it up. Good Dogs Pet Sitting. That's one of the reasons why I picked that name for my business. If your URL is too complicated or too long, it'll be difficult for people to remember, as well as the name of your business. So you want to keep something that's simple, that describes what you do, and if it's local, has your location. For example, San Jose Dog Boarding, Santa Rosa Pet Boutique, or something like that. You get the idea. Just kind of write some things down and see how you like them. Then when you go into your designer, you can search and see if those domain names are available and follow the process to buy those names and register them to you. Once you choose your URL or domain name and register it, then your email account will be connected with that. So as I mentioned, it can be info at San Jose Dog Boarding, your name at Santa Rosa Pet Boutique, or whatever. And that sounds more professional than using a Gmail or an AOL or something you may use for personal use. So let's talk about legal requirements. SSL. So to make it really simple, SSL creates an encrypted link between the website and the browser, and it keeps the user's information private. As I'm sure you're aware, there's tons of criminal activity and hacking on the internet, and people are concerned about that and want to know that when they go on a website, their information isn't being harvested for nefarious purposes. Now, if you're not accepting payments on your website or a lot of customer information like their address and phone number, then it's not as big of a deal. But in any case, every website needs to have an SSL certificate. It is a legal requirement and has been since 2017. So all of these website designers have an add-on feature of an SSL. So when you create your website, you'll just go to whatever section of the designer allows you to make that purchase and connect it to your domain name. Another requirement is the cookie notice. Now, it's not a legal requirement in the United States. It is in the European Union and possibly other countries, but it is a best practice, and you will see this today on just about every website. A cookie is like a cookie crumb. It's leaving a trail of information. So what that means is that anytime you go on a website, you are being tracked, your usage. This is helpful for you as the business owner because it shows who is finding your website, where they are, what their activity is, and that helps you to better design and promote your website and promote your business. However, some users may have concerns about being tracked in that manner. So you will want to have a banner that advises people that you use cookies for tracking and that they have the option to accept or decline that feature. So now that you have some idea of the content you want on your website, the pictures and text and the domain name, and you're setting up your legal requirements, you're ready to put this thing together and make it live, you'll want to do some search analysis. So what this means is when people look things up on the internet, Google or whatever browser they're using will point them towards certain websites. If you look up Chinese food near me, or where do I get my transmission fixed, or whatever it is that you need, the search engines are going to use their functions to point the user in the right direction. Well, when someone is looking for your product or service, you want them to find you. So there are some steps that you need to take to optimize the ability for them to find you and for you to come up higher in those search results. One of the quickest and easiest ways to do this is to look up your kind of business and see what comes up. So you can look up something like dog boarding near me, natural pet food, dog training, or whatever it is that you do, and see what comes up in the results. Now, you'll also want to look up where it says here what people also searched, because this can be super helpful. This is Google's way of telling you what people are looking for in that particular area. And I would write those down and be sure to include that kind of language in your website, because this is what people are searching for. If that language is on your website, especially on the homepage, they are more likely to find you before other websites in the same area. With my First Street Pets website, when I do this analysis, I find out that some of the biggest searches are folks searching for information about microchips and microchipping and about pet businesses. So this is one of the reasons why I'm creating more content on those topics, because those are things people are searching for. And I can learn that through this kind of search analysis. So another important factor as you put your website together is a customer persona. Now, what the heck is a customer persona? That's basically, who is your audience? Who is your demographic? Who do you want to appeal to? There are very different audiences who are going to respond very differently to your website. Are you looking for pet owners who want to see cute pictures of animals? Are you appealing to lawyers, engineers, medical doctors? Those are very different audiences who are going to react very differently to different kinds of content. As I mentioned with the cutesy website with the paw prints, as opposed to a very conservative website if you're offering, say, pet legal services or creating wills and documents to benefit your pets after you pass away or something like that that's of a more conservative nature, you're going to want a really different look on your website and also different language. So sit down and really think about this. Who are your customers? Who are your clients? And what are their needs? What is their demographic? So think about this a lot in the language that you use in your website and the kind of pictures and then the design elements, because you want to appeal to that kind of person. And you'll know yourself when you look something up and it just doesn't look right. Maybe the website doesn't look professional, or it doesn't look like it's been updated recently, or it just doesn't appeal to you. You're probably not going to contact that business. You're going to keep looking. In general, I like to keep it simple on a website. People's attention spans today are shorter than ever. Remember when TV commercials in the 70s and 80s were like 30 seconds or a minute long? Then they were 15 seconds. Now they're like 5 seconds. Our attention spans are super short. So if we don't find the information that we want in seconds, you're going to lose the customer or the client's attention. So you want, when they get to that homepage, you want them to very quickly see and find what they are looking for and be able to book for services, buy what they want, or contact you very quickly. So in general, I don't like to add too much information on a website. If it's an educational or informational website, that's different. You still want to have an easy homepage and then ways for folks to drill down if they want to read long articles or watch videos about whatever topics, pet nutrition or something that may be of interest to them. But you don't want them to have to wade through a lot of information to get to what they want. Keep it simple, keep everything right there on the homepage, and a really easy way for them to contact you, purchase, or book. One final note is that you will also want to maintain your website. Once you get everything set up the way you want it and you upload it and you go live, that's awesome. It will take a couple of weeks for Google to index your site, so it's not going to start showing up in those search results right away if it's a brand new website. So keep checking back to see how that looks. Be sure to check your website at least every couple of weeks or at least once a month to make sure. I just went on mine for pet sitting and realized it was something I hadn't updated, so I went ahead and made that change today. You may change your services or your prices, your service area, or there may be something that's misspelled or a link that's no longer any good. So you want to keep up with that stuff because it's going to look really unprofessional if the information isn't accurate, or if there's a misspelling or a typo, or if a link is no good anymore. So be sure to follow up, keep your website looking fresh, and keep it coming up in the search results. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I wish you great success in your pet business. Stay tuned for the next video, which will be a drill down into SEO for pet business websites.